Michael freaking Jackson. On the wild chance that maybe at least one of you has been frozen in time for the last 60 years, let me give you a brief summary on this man. From his debut appearance in 1964 when he was just 5 years old, Michael would become a huge sensation along with his brothers in the band the Jackson 5, before breaking out as a solo artist and becoming a global megastar. Seriously, for a time he was the biggest thing on the planet. He could sing, he could dance, boy could he dance. And he produced some of the greatest and most influential songs of all time, inspiring some of the biggest names in the music industry today. True, in his later years, his reputation was marred by several controversies and rather unusual behaviour, but for most people, he still remains as an icon to the world and the undisputed king of pop. While he's usually praised for his incredible voice and otherworldly dance moves, we also can't forget the impact he's had on the film industry. His music videos in particular have produced some of the most creatively awe-inspiring visuals ever seen on screen. I mean, come on, Billie Jean, Black or White, Speed Demon, Bad, Beat It, Thriller. Heck, for Liberian Girl, he just got a bunch of his celebrity pals to wander around a soundstage and say to each other, "Hey, where's Michael? Do you know Whoopi Goldberg? Do you know Dan Aykroyd? Do you know John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John? Do you know Weird Al Yankovic? Do you know, I want to say Steve?" Away from music videos, he's also shown up in a handful of film and TV productions, including playing as a scarecrow in the film adaptation of The Wiz, an odd cameo appearance in Men in Black 2, and a guest role on an episode of The Simpsons where he performed under the pseudonym John J. Smith. Oh, there's also that weird Captain EO thing, but we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about his biggest contribution to the tapestry of cinema, simply called Moonwalker. Moonwalker is a very tricky film to grasp the concept of. On its Wikipedia entry, it's described as an experimental anthology musical film, which I guess means that instead of having a continuous running narrative going throughout, it's more accurate to describe it as a collection of his live performances and music videos, which, to be fair, are more or less short films in their own right. This does sound like a great idea for maybe a TV special or direct-to-home video release, but making it into something to be shown in cinemas is a little far-fetched. He says, knowing full well that this is currently in cinemas at the time of writing. In fact, the plan was to release it theatrically to coincide with his Bad World Tour. That's the tour based on his album Bad, not that the tour itself was bad. But while it did reach cinemas in Europe and South America, a Christmas release in the US was cancelled for one reason or another, and instead was made available on home video the following month. I mean, what else was it competing with at the time? Halloween 4? Mystic Pizza? They Live? Would have fit in just well with that kind of company. Child's Play? Okay, we're getting off topic. Despite its limited run, it did clean up well at the box office, earning back triple its budget, and its home sales reached more than 800,000 copies in the US within the first 3 months. It was such a big hit that they also produced a 3D comic book and even made a series of video games based off of it, including an isometric beat-em-up for the arcades, an action platformer for the Sega Mega Drive and Master System, and a home computer version that tried to blend in a bunch of different genres at once. And I honestly never knew that this existed until recently. Why do I feel like I'm looking at a deleted scene from Discworld? However, 35 years on and without the Jackson craze to support it, is this still a film worth checking out, or is it simply not good? Let's find out. So being an experimental film, this has been split up into several different segments, the first of which opens up with Michael on stage performing Man in the Mirror to a live audience. This was all part of his Bad World Tour. Again, that's what it's called, don't at me. And the whole thing gives you an idea of just how big Michael was at the time. A massive star with the world at his feet. His fans are dancing, screaming their hearts out, fainting in front of him, and actively weeping at the sight of him. He was like a messiah to these people, before they saw him as a very naughty boy. As the song continues, we get shots of the various stages of the tour, mixed in oddly enough with footage of various political figures. I do get this is supposed to be in context with the music video, with Michael pointing a finger at the world leaders and asking them to do something about the problems in the country, but mixed in with the tour footage, it just makes it look like everybody in the world is going to see Michael Jackson. Even Gandhi is apparently obsessed with him. Tell me you have an ego without telling me you have an ego.
Make that change.
Yeah, I guess posing like Jesus while being bathed in light will do that too. Following that, we get a retrospective of Michael's life, from his days in the Jackson 5 up to his then recent tour. We get a panoramic view of many of his items, including photos, awards, and memorabilia, all the while a number of voiceovers list his various accomplishments.
The Guinness Book of World Records has listed Thriller as the biggest-selling album of all time.
What Michael Jackson has achieved is a tribute to 20 years of hard work, energy, tireless dedication.
Michael Jackson has become the first artist in the history of music to generate 6 number-1 singles off one album.
It's hard to believe that someone like Michael Jackson has the ability to cure cancer, discover the lost city of Atlantis, and broker peace between the Autobots and the Decepticons. And then the movie gets weird, as the television showing clips of Michael Jackson turns into a spaceship and flies away, and a giant keyboard in space appears with cutouts of the Jacksons dancing on it. We're shown a montage of various performances and music videos starring Michael and the Jacksons, but it's shown in such an oddly bizarre fashion. ABC is performed over purple claymation versions of the Jacksons. Michael sings Ben while footage of rats running around is played. Is one of them supposed to be Ben? A robot dancing to Dancing Machine, okay, that one kind of makes sense. Human Nature, where everything is like a sketchbook until Michael stops and becomes a still image of himself. And a Billie Jean performance where he literally just disappears. In a way, it is a testament to just how creative Michael can be as a storyteller, but considering that all of this goes on for about 10 to 12 minutes, you can't help but feel that this is a little bit self-indulgent. Also, not every one of his decisions is that brilliant. Why is he humping the ground? And why does he think it's going to impress this girl? And then the movie gets weird, as our next segment features the music video for Bad, only it's performed by children. Okay, is this supposed to indicate that Michael is still a child at heart? Because he has a chimp called Bubbles and his own private amusement park in a place he calls Neverland. I think we got that.
So what's up?
Oh, nothing much, just cleared a few things out of my room recently, and okay, I guess we're not going to talk about that. So obviously this is supposed to be a parody of the music video called Badder, and it's actually quite good. The kids were clearly having a lot of fun mimicking the dance moves from the actual video, and the whole thing comes across as very adorable. I especially love the drawn-on facial hair that some of them have, it's just cute. Actually, funny story, I saw this version before I watched the actual music video, so I was just waiting for the part where the real Michael accidentally grabs his crotch a bit too hard. Maybe that's why his voice is so effeminate. Also, what's with that bit at the end where Kid Michael forgets the next line but works his way back in? Was that real or just part of the skit? Hey, don't you stick your tongue out at me, young man. And then the movie gets weird, as the next segment finds us on the studio lot, where a tour bus comes by with my nightmares for tonight. Kid Michael and his equally prepubescent bodyguards walk through a cloud of smoke and come out the other side as adults. Wow, smoking really does age you, and it's drained the colour from Michael's face. They're spotted by the tourists and Michael runs away as the crazed fans chase after him. Oh, the hell with this job! Maybe I'll become a chef and move to Colorado. Michael is pursued by the mob from studio to studio, and it's hard to tell whether he's enjoying himself or absolutely terrified, as half the time he has this big beaming smile on his face. Even when he runs onto the set of a western and the director yells at him, he can't help but laugh as he runs off. Maybe that smoke had some kind of hallucinogenic drug inside of it? It would explain why we're seeing a talking Statue of Liberty, a director that turns into a lizard/goblin thing, and the Noid randomly. Oh hey girls, do you want to see my pet monkey? Whoops, gotta go. Michael eventually hides himself inside a wardrobe department and looks for a disguise in order to get out. Of course, no one will recognize me under that clown wig. No, in fact, he does disguise himself as a biker rabbit, turning claymation in the process. By the way, what kind of production requires the studio to make a giant papier-mâché head of a rabbit with a mullet? Well, this is a Warner Brothers movie, so maybe they're trying to remake Mad Max with Bugs Bunny? The disguise proves ineffective anyway, as Michael instantly reveals to the mob that it's him. Okay, Michael, you of all people should really understand how a disguise is supposed to work. Or maybe you don't, as these girls seem to recognize him regardless. This leads us properly into the music video for Speed Demon, as Michael flees from the rabid mob over land, sea, and sky. The whole thing starts to turn a bit Scooby-Doo as Michael randomly turns into various celebrities to avoid his pursuers, including Sylvester Stallone, Tina Turner, and Pee Wee Herman? How is it you can get Spielberg to appear in one of your videos, but you have to settle for a claymation version of Pee Wee? The fans are eventually arrested, and Michael drives into the desert so he can ditch the disguise. And then the costume comes to life and starts dancing with Michael, who is apparently unfazed by this. Honestly, everything he's been through, I wouldn't call this the weirdest thing we've seen today. Even being fined for dancing by Officer Clancy Brown. And then the rabbit just becomes part of the cliff face. I honestly have no words. The next segment is the music video for Leave Me Alone, which is honestly tame compared to what we've just been through. It's meant to mockingly address the attacks made on his personal life by the tabloids and media, and features a slew of surreal imagery, including Michael dancing with the Elephant Man skeleton, dogs in suits depicting the press as animals, and a tunnel that leads to a set of giant gnashing teeth, ending with him tearing apart the literal circus that has been built around him. Like I said, this is far from being the strangest part in the film, in that it's weirdness that has a purpose at least. And then finally, nearly halfway through its runtime, we get to the main portion of the movie, the bit that actually has a plot, so to speak. We see three kids called Sean, Zeke, and Katie as they spy on Michael coming out of his home. Well, not his actual home. No, he tore that apart in the last segment. But just before he can leave, he's shot at by a firing squad. This causes Katie to have a flashback which sees Michael and the kids playing with a football in the park. Their dog Skipper runs off with the ball and Michael and Katie chase after him, running into Shelob's lair. Okay, tell me you wouldn't pay to see Michael Jackson in Lord of the Rings. I think he'd make a good Galadriel. They uncover a secret entrance that leads them into an underground facility where they spy on a ruthless mobster named Mr. Big, played by Joe Pesci, who is so intimidating that even Dobermen are afraid of him. They overhear his plans to get all the children in the world addicted to drugs. I argue that you can achieve the same effect just by watching this movie.
Every kid in this whole world to take drugs because of me. Because of me. I want everybody to know. Everybody.
Unfortunately, our heroes are spotted and they have to flee. Why does his yelling sound like an alarm clock? We cut back to the present as Michael avoids being shot and tries to escape Mr. Big's henchman. You're not smiling now, are you, Jacko? This part of the movie is somehow both dull and hilarious, as Michael just runs back and forth down what looks like the same couple of streets, as Mr. Big just barks a lot of nonsense over the radio. He eventually corners Michael in an alleyway and prepares to send in his stormtroopers to get him. And then the movie gets weird, as Michael sees a shooting star, which allows him to turn into a car and make his escape.
What the hell was that?
The audience sentiment exactly. What went through Michael's mind that made him think that the best solution for this scenario would be for him to turn into a Lancia Stratos Zero and just drive away? Who even helps him come up with these ideas? His monkey? It's his monkey, isn't it? After losing the henchman, Michael arrives at a place called Club 30s, which looked completely abandoned when the kids were in it earlier, but when Michael enters, it's filled with gangsters and swing dancers. This leads us into the music video for Smooth Criminal. And I'm just gonna say it, this is probably his best music video ever. Thriller is absolutely fantastic, and I have a soft spot for ghosts as well. But nothing can really top this. The setting is perfect, the choreography is perfect, the atmosphere is perfect. Everything in this one section is just so slick and, well, smooth. It is a little bit jarring when you remember that Michael was just running for his life a few moments ago, but all that quickly fades away as you watch him do what he does best. However, there is one incredibly bizarre moment where the song suddenly stops, the skylight bursts open, and everyone starts to act really strangely. We have people dancing slowly, we hear creepy and disturbing yelling, and Michael is stamping his foot and nodding his head like a horse. I think he even sounds like one at some point. And then the music just starts back up again with no explanation of what just happened. I'm sorry, did everyone just have a midlife crisis or something? Am I having a midlife crisis right now? You know what, forget it. Despite that one awkward moment, this is still an awesome video. So while Michael is dancing in the club, Mr. Big's henchmen arrive and kidnap Katie. However, Michael manages to fend them off by literally pulling a Tommy gun from out of nowhere and uses the confusion to exit the club. Sean and Zeke tell Michael that Katie has been kidnapped, and he decides that it's time to settle things with Mr. Big once and for all. They manage to find his secret base, but it turns out to be a trap and Michael is separated from the kids. So, you guys want an autograph? Mr. Big arrives with Katie held prisoner and yells at Michael like a disapproving father.
Let her go! Shut up! Don't you talk to me! You shut up!
A semi-deleted scene shows him slapping Katie around and threatening to inject her with drugs, but Michael fights back, allowing Katie to break free, for about 2 seconds. The mobster decides that he's had enough and orders his goons to kill them. And then the movie gets weird. And I mean really weird, as Michael just straight up transforms into a giant robot. I mean, what? What's going on? Where did this come from? Even Katie is just as confused as we are. At what point did Michael decide that him turning into a robot was exactly what this movie needed? Well, we're here now, I guess, as Michael starts firing at the henchman Gundam style. I'm just going with it at this point. I've lost all sense of reality. Jesus Christ! Now he's just blowing up their heads? And what am I supposed to take away from this? That the henchmen were robots all along? Or that Michael's magic is so strong that it turns them into sparkles? From the imagination of Michael Jackson? Yeah, Michael Jackson and a heaping boatload of this stuff. Oh geez, I think a spark got Joe Pesci in the eye. With the henchmen defeated, Michael turns into a spaceship. Cool. But Mr. Big has one last trick up his sleeve as he brings out his... Oh, for the love of LaToya. Exactly how much money is this guy making that he's able to afford his own evil secret villain base, an army of stormtroopers, and a giant frickin' laser? Are you sure you want to get kids on drugs? Because you seem pretty set here, dude. Big fires on Michael and seemingly kills him. But I guess Michael had an extra life spare as he fires back at Big with his own ghostly screaming face, killing his nemesis once and for all. He then flies off, leaving the kids stranded on top of the mountain.
Where's he going? He's leaving.
I have to go now. My planet needs me.
Oh, I guess he won't be going home then. We cut to an indiscriminate amount of time later, as the kids wonder whether or not they will see Michael again, only for them to be reunited with him mere moments later. Great job, you held the tension for 2 minutes at best? He leads the kids back to Club 30's, which now has transformed into the backstage area for one of Michael's concerts. The kids are reunited with their dog, and Michael leaves them as he heads onto the stage. Okay, no, I'm sorry. There's no way that crowd can be that quiet. Of all the unbelievable things that I've seen in this movie, I refuse to believe that a crowd like that, for a Michael Jackson concert no less, can remain that quiet even as Michael is walking out onto the stage. Not when we've seen them literally keel over at his mere presence. Michael then starts performing his cover of the Beatles song Come Together. And believe it or not, that is where the movie ends. I mean, it feels like a good spot to conclude this adventure, but really? I kind of felt like there was more. Well, technically there is more, as the end credits have 2 final segments. The first is of the band Ladysmith Black Mambazo performing The Moon is Walking while on the Club 30 set, interspersed with behind-the-scenes footage of the making of the film. It's rather mellow and a nice come down from all the madness we've just seen over the last 40 or so minutes. And then the movie gets weird one last time, as the final segment is an alternate music video for Smooth Criminal, where the footage is sped up and slowed down at random intervals. I mean, why? You had such a perfect video earlier, if you ignore the sudden impromptu half-orgy bit. Was it really necessary to throw this thing on at the end, or did everyone just decide to party like it was on sale for $19.99?
I am a freakazoid, come on and wind me up.
By the way, I find the special thanks message in the credits to be rather laughable as, quote, some of the names of people who contributed to the film couldn't be listed, but they know who they are. Well, if you know who they are, why don't you list them? Even right afterwards, they thank more people. What the hell is up with that? I especially love the Bad album slinking in at the end of the credits, as if to say, yes, this was all made just to get you to buy me. Honestly, as someone who watches programs that are just extended commercials for products, I can understand the hustle. Moonwalker is a lot. A lot of Michael, a lot of mild imagery, and a lot of zany ideas all crammed into an hour and a half. As a movie, it's practically nonsensical. Really, it's more of a sporadic collection of his music videos loosely tied together in an incredibly disjointed manner. In fact, calling it a movie is somewhat misleading. It really should have been just a 2-hour TV special for a Michael Jackson night, with the first hour being a retrospective on Michael's career and the second hour being the debut of Smooth Criminal. Otherwise it's just a bizarre and confusing mess where the actual movie portion comes in about halfway through. It would be like watching Lord of the Rings and when they reach Moria, the logo suddenly shows up. As for the movie itself, well, it takes real talent to create something that is both completely bare bones and mind-numbingly confusing at the same time. How do you take an incredibly cool concept like a dance party in a 1930s Chicago gangster speakeasy and insert James Bond-esque drug barons and magic stars that turn you into cars and robots? It really does feel like a kid wrote this, which actually does make a whole lot of sense. Michael was often perceived as having a very innocent, almost childlike mentality to the world. Now that probably got him into a great deal more trouble than he intended to, but that certainly will explain a lot of his creative decisions. Think about it, don't these ideas start to make a lot more sense when you imagine a little kid saying them?
And then, Michael puts on a rabbit suit to escape the people chasing him, but they won't stop, so he tricks them by turning into Rambo, and Pee-wee, and Tina Turner, because my mom really likes Tina Turner, and then the bad guys are shooting at Michael like pew 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 pew, and the boss is really angry like blah 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 blah. And then Michael wishes on a star and turns into a car and drives away really fast, and then he goes to a club and he's dancing, but then he has to go fight the bad guys again, and he turns to a robot and then a spaceship, and he blows the bad guys away like whoosh, 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 whoosh. And then he takes his friends to his show and he's singing and dancing on stage, and it's really cool. Also, John Lennon's son is there because my dad really likes the Beatles.
Regardless of all the issues that followed him throughout his entire career, Michael Jackson was a one-of-a-kind talent whose mindset for creativity is nigh on impossible to replicate. And as much as I've complained about this movie, I can still find a lot to enjoy about it. Michael is surprisingly not that bad of an actor. Joe Pesci is clearly having lots of fun in his role, and for all of the random insanity that is peppered throughout, it's exceptionally well shot and doesn't leave you feeling bored for 1 second, whether you want it to or not. I can't say it's for everyone for more than one reason, but if you're a die-hard Michael Jackson fan, it's probably all you could ever want it to be. It is an unbelievably entertaining, yet totally baffling mess that could only come from the mind of one wide-eyed genius that never wanted to grow up. You are, Michael, but probably not for the reasons you were hoping.
Oi, go, oi, more passion, more passion, more passion, more energy, more energy, more footwork, more footwork, more footwork, more passion, more energy, more energy, oi, oi.
Hi everybody, TeknoBoy here. Thank you so much for watching this video. I had a lot of fun making it. It was really great to relive this film and all the weirdness it exudes. Can you believe that this film is now 35 years old as of this month? I mean, that's almost as old as me. That's crazy to believe. I also want to thank you guys for the response to my Power Rangers Season 1 video. I think I managed to reach about 3,000 views in the first 3 weeks, which is a great achievement for me, I have to say. I am slowly working on the video for Season 2, and there's a few other video ideas for other projects that I've got in the works. If there's anything that you want me to take a look at, whether it be movies, TV shows, video games, or what have you, you can let me know in the comments down below. Also, I'd like to know what your favourite Michael Jackson song and or video is. Like I said in the video, Ghosts has a soft spot in my heart, and I've also been listening a lot to Stranger in Moscow. There's a very hauntingly soothing quality to it, in my opinion. But yeah, again, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.